I've always wanted to do everything, play every game, accomplish every goal, and meet every expectation. The fact is, it's not possible unless you really limit what you actually want to do. And I think there will always be things that I want to do that I'm not ever going to be able to accomplish. But there's a trap there. There's a feeling of, well, then I'm never going to get what I want out of life. I don't think that's true. I think the trick is not to accomplish absolutely everything that you want to do, but the trick is to enjoy and fully experience everything that you actually do accomplish, or rather, everything that you do experience. And I want to talk about that today, not just from the angle of how many games exist and what my backlog is and all of that good stuff, but I want to talk about it in terms of game development and creative ideas. But if you just want the too long did not listen version of this entire episode, it is. There is more power in fully experiencing whatever it is that you are creating or playing than there is in creating and playing everything that you possibly can. And I usually fall into the trap of trying to do the second one. This is Game, Develop, Repeat. I'm your host, Chris. Thank you for joining us. There are so many incredible, top-notch games out there. I could recommend to you enough games to fill 2 years of your life in one conversation. I think I could. I think I could just say, oh, you got to play this, and this. And assuming you have a full-time job, I've filled up 2 years of your life in like a paragraph, maybe. And it wouldn't even cost you that much. It would be like, assuming you already have a system that can run everything, you'd be less than $200. You've got 2 years of entertainment. There is an insane number of incredibly high quality games to the extent that you can't look at them and go, this one's better than this one. This one's better than this. Just play these ones, so on and so on. No, you kind of have to filter through it based on your own preferences. You have to play them enough to go, no, not for me. Oh, this is for me. And sometimes somebody can give you a super clear recommendation because they know what you like and so on, but that's hit or miss. Now, what does this result in for me? This results in a feeling of, well, I have to try as many of these games as I can. I want to make games. I want to understand games. I want to enjoy them. I want to experience everything that gaming has to offer. This is a foolhardy goal, in my opinion. If I try to experience everything that gaming has to offer, I will not get any depth. I'll continue to spread myself thin. I won't really deeply enjoy it. I'll kind of burn out on my favorite hobby. Now, I think this happened. I think that's what happened when I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I reached a point with it where I went, oh no. I've been pushing too hard. I've been trying to play it. I've been trying to fit this into my spare hours, and I'm not actually excited about it. Luckily, Expedition 33 came along and saved the day. I had genuine joy and excitement about that game, and luckily, it paid off for me. I played it, and I went, oh, I actually really enjoy this game. This is a good title for me. This is the right fit. But what am I really getting at here? I'm getting at the point that we can't play all the games. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the guy to say it. I know there's a series on YouTube where, what is his name? Daryl Talks Games, the guy who does Psych of Play, which is a great series. He tries to conquer his backlog, and this man's job is playing games and making video essays about them. So he has the luxury of using that as a part of his work day, right? Like he can connect the gaming to his actual work. It can be part of his work hours. It's research. It's a whole thing. I say luxury. I doubt that it's that much of a luxury when you actually get to that point with it. But he has that situation, and he wasn't able to fully conquer his backlog. I mean, he talks about he made a second video revisiting it. He had this whole list, and he was dedicating so much of his life to it. Still didn't get there. How are we going to get there? It's not going to happen, realistically. So what is the other option? The other option is play games you love, abandon games you don't, which, by the way, he does some of in his video. Highly recommended. It's pretty good. Play games you love, abandon the games you don't. Be willing to say, oh, well, that one's over. No more of that. We're out of here. And fully experience the game as you are playing it. Now, this is a challenge for me. I don't know about you. I have many times where I'm gaming and I get distracted. I'm gaming and I start focusing on something else. I'm gaming and I think about my day. I think about what's going on with one of my friends. I check my text messages. I think about work. I think about whatever. And then we kind of think of it as the game's job to immerse us in the experience, to manipulate us into giving it our full attention. But I don't think that's the best, how to put this. This is my opinion. I don't think that's the best way to interact with a game. I think that as a player, it is my job to engage with the game. It is my role to give the game a chance to lean in, to say, hey, I'm listening. Let's have this conversation. Let's have this moment. You have my time. Let's get after it. Let's see what I can get out of this experience. And then, if I'm 2 hours in and I've been really trying to absorb the experience, on almost just on an emotional level or on a level of presence, right? I'm not taking notes and researching it and all of this stuff. You could do that if you want to do some game research, but I'm just soaking it in. If I've gotten 2 hours into it and I'm still constantly going, I don't like this. This isn't for me. Then I'm out. I say 2 hours. I think I've committed more than 2 hours on a single game before. I think I've gone way deeper than that on a game that I did not enjoy. But my point is, there's something about giving a game your full attention that we miss. When you're having a conversation with another person, if you are looking at your phone and thinking about your stuff and focusing on other things the entire time that you're hanging out with that person, you're not going to connect with them. Right? They can be trying to tell you a story about their life. They can be trying to connect on an emotional level. They can be looking for something that ties the two of you together. And if you're not letting that in, if you're not opening up to that, it ain't going to happen. And some games are harder to connect with. And it may seem odd that I'm talking about games in this way. I'm almost talking about them as though they are a person you're hanging out with, right? It's the metaphor I'm using. Well, they're the creation of people. They're people forming a message and trying to connect with you through that. There may not be an explicit message that they're trying to give you, but there's some kind of a human thing coming through, some human truth or perspective that they're trying to present to you. Now, you may hate that perspective, and it may be scary to play a game that's supposed to be really good that everybody's been praising, and then you open yourself up to it and you start playing it and you go, this freaking sucks. But that's fine. And if that game freaking sucks, just by the way, just a side note, it sucks for you. You don't have to tear into other people about it. And if the game freaking rules, it rules for you. You don't have to sell it so aggressively. Be like, I loved this for these reasons. If you love games for those reasons, you might love this game, right? I think that if we just take the time to really focus in a relaxed way, to really open ourselves up to whatever game it is that we're playing at any given moment, we'll enjoy it more and we'll really connect with it and learn from it, not just as a gamer, not just as a developer, but as a person. And if we are thinking about all of the other stuff we have to get done while we're playing a game, if we're thinking of every other game that we want to play, then we're not going to get there. We're not going to get satisfaction out of it. It's going to turn to ash in our mouth. It's not going to be that good of an experience, I think. And if I may, I think this applies to people. I think this applies to relationships. I think this applies to everyday life. If you can experience things fully, you're going to be able to connect. You're going to be able to get the most of it. If you rush through every single moment, if you're ripping past it, if you're trying to get through it as fast as you can to get to the next thing, it's probably going to suck, man. You know? And now, here's the thing that I don't really want to talk about because I struggle with it more. Game development and my incredible rush to squeeze as much development time as I possibly can into every moment of every day. And I just desperately want to spend more time on it and keep working on it and so on and so on. And will absolutely rush through my day-to-day life and neglect things that I should not be neglecting just so I can get in front of that screen and start learning how the heck a tile map works in Godot, which is what I have been working on this week. I love developing video games, and there are times when I get to fully feel that. There are times when I lean in and I focus in and I work out some little programming puzzle that I was dealing with, or I figure out how the math works, or I learn, oh, that function doesn't do exactly what I thought it did. It actually does this, or, ooh, there's this nice, elegant function here that I can use that solves all my problems. In those moments, I go, oh, this is sick. In the moments where I see my world coming together, in the moments where I play a little bit and go, oh, that's challenging, that's nice, that's exactly what I was going for. Or this is creating the emotional experience that I want to create. Or I see somebody play a game that I made and they get frustrated and they're like, God dang it, Chris, why'd you do this? And I'm like, yes, this is wonderful, right? Just that little bit of fury towards me from somebody who's getting frustrated by a difficult level. And I get to watch them get past that difficulty and on to the next level. I'm like, I knew you could do it, right? There's a deep joy in all of those moments. But that's not what we're talking about today. I want to talk about the side of it where I'm in a rush to make the game. I want to finish the game. I want to make this idea. I want to make this idea real. I have to do it because I love doing it. But anyway, whatever, I want to finish this game because I need to get this message across. I need to finish this project so I can get to the next project. I have so many game ideas, and if I finish this one, I'll be more experienced, and then I can work on the next one, and then I'll be more experienced, and then I can work on the next, and at some point, I will have a successful game, and everybody will play it, and everybody gets to experience it, and I get to go, hey, look at this cool thing I made, and then I can start helping other people make cool things because they'll go, ooh, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. And I'll have proof. It won't just be me going, I kind of know a couple things, and then I'm wrong because I haven't actually had success or like enough experience to know that what I'm doing is correct, right? I'll get to that point, and I get in that rush, and I go, I want to get there. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be able to help others. I want to do all of this cool stuff within game dev. Get me there as soon as possible. And then I don't develop anything. I look at it and I go, there's so much I want to do. Let's get moving. And then I stop. And I go, oh, well, I don't have... And then at best, I go play a video game. Actually, not even that. Usually I just sit around and get stuck. I just stare at something and go, what do I do? It's like a writer's block thing that happens. And it'll happen for like 10 minutes and I'll go, oh, I've got to do something else. I don't know if you've experienced that. I definitely have. And it's tricky. And the thing that gets me about it is the degree to which it pretends to be about how much I love making games. It pretends to be I like making things so I have to. I like making games so I have to finish this so I can finish the next, so I can finish the next, so I can finish the next. The same way that I love playing games, so I have to finish this game so I can play the next, so I can play the next, so I can play the next, so I can work through my backlog. You don't have to work through your backlog of game development ideas. And maybe, if you'd like to, you can play one of them for a little bit, and then you can go, sorry, I said play. I meant develop, but it's kind of the same thing sometimes. You can develop one of them for a little bit, and then you go, oh, you know what? I don't like this one, but I learned some stuff from it. Let's move on to something I like more. In the same way that you can play a game and go, hey, maybe JRPGs aren't for me. You can start developing a game and go, maybe shooters aren't for me. Maybe that's not what I like developing. Maybe I want to do something else. That's okay. You got to have that insight. You got to look at yourself and go, am I quitting this because it's difficult, or am I quitting it because this just isn't the thing that I actually want to be working on? And sometimes you got to push past it for a few months and go, okay, you know what? Now that I'm past that point, it actually is great. You know, it's a weird and unfortunate truth that some series take a while to get started, right? You watch an anime, people are like, just give it the first 200 episodes and then it'll be the greatest thing you've ever watched. Just play the first entire 60 hours of Final Fantasy XIV and then it gets good, I promise. Sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's true in game development. In fact, you kind of got to give it the first couple hundred hours before it starts getting cool. Maybe not even. Maybe it's like the first 2 weeks or something, but you got to give it a little time before you start going, oh, I'm not just typing hello world. I've got a character moving on a screen. And I figured out how to do it. Not just, oh, I followed this guy's tutorial and he told me exactly how to do it and now I'm doing it. That is cool. But then figuring it out on your own has a whole other feeling. Remembering how to do it a week later without pulling up the tutorial or with only a couple docs, and then getting to the point of being able to read the docs and kind of understand what they're saying, that hits different. Now, I want to tell you about how my learning game development has changed this past week. Some of you have seen me attempt to develop video games. Some of you have seen me on Twitch. You watched me back when I was streaming. I hope to stream again one day, but it's not in the foreseeable future, and I apologize for that. Some of you have seen the way that I try to develop. You've seen me just pick a random function that kind of sounds like it should do what I want it to, not read the documentation for the function, and start plugging stuff in, right? I did this just the other day. I was trying to get oh boy, I'm about to go into some techno babble. Let me see if I can put this in a way that just makes sense to anybody who has not been messing with Godot. I was trying to get some custom information from a specific tile in a tile map. So, you've got a bunch of tiles like on a chessboard. It's got all of its individual tiles, and then you've got the entire chessboard is going to be your tile map, right? That's your tile map layer. So I'm trying to get the coordinates off of one of these things, and then from those coordinates, I'm trying to get data about the tile. Like maybe it's made out of a different type of wood, maybe it has a different piece on it, or maybe certain pieces are valid on it, whatever. There's information about that tile that I need, that I have assigned custom. I've said this tile can do whatever damage. We're leaving the chess analogy now. You know what the tile map layer looks like. You know what an individual tile is referring to. We're trying to get data from that individual tile. I just started going, get metadata. That sounds like it's probably it. It wasn't. The function I needed was like get custom data, custom layer data or something. I don't remember what exactly it was. Custom tile data. I'm sorry, but I don't have the exact function name. The point is, for once, instead of just trying to force the get metadata function to work and then screwing with that for like 15 minutes and going, why isn't this doing what I'm expecting it to do? I'm going, oh, wait, I made an assumption, and I'm backing up, and then I'm going, oh, there's the assumption. Let's look it up. Let's find the right function, and then let's start working with it. When I'm running into something where I go, oh, this is not working well, something is going wrong, I back it up, and I find a way to do it that's going to work better. And it's a huge evolution in the way that I'm doing game development, as weird as that sounds, because before I was trying to move fast, and I was going, that kind of works. This kind of works. That's kind of right. And then ripping through it and going, okay, boom, there we go. Now we've got a functional thing. There's some bugs. We'll sort them out later. Which is true, and I can, but it's making everything go slower in the long run. What I could do, and also it's making me just get stuck randomly all the time. What I could do instead is every time I run into too much friction, and there has to be an internal felt sense of what too much friction is, every time I run into too much friction, take a step back, look at it, slow down, and say, all right, what is the friction point? What alternatives are there to that spot? Right? What if I'm just using the wrong tool? Maybe I just need to back off a little bit and grab a new tool, and then boom, done. Easy. And that mindset shift, which I will explain again in a much cleaner, more concise way momentarily. This mindset shift has taken me from absolute suffering, hitting a brick wall, banging my head against a brick wall over and over and over, trying to learn stuff, to, oh, okay, I have like 3 questions that I'm responsible for learning today, and I figured out 2 of them. That's pretty good. Huge progress done. All right. I'm now confident that I can figure out, for the most part, I have to find resources. I can figure out how something works in Godot. I can go through the docs, I can go through this, that, the other, and I can go, okay, this is how I'm going to make this work. That is huge. Now let me reiterate the mindset change in a much cleaner, more concise way. Previously, I was making assumptions, rushing, and going, you can make this tool work for this, so I'm going to make it work. Consistently, because I was in a rush and it was the first thing within sight. It is the game development equivalent of, I have a screwdriver, I need a hammer, but I have a screwdriver. Technically, it'll work. And the hammer is like 2 inches outside of arm's reach. And instead of leaning over and grabbing the hammer, I just bang the crap out of something with a screwdriver, like the back of a screwdriver, for like 20 minutes when I could just hit it with a hammer 3 times. You know, not literally 20 minutes, but in programming, actually kind of, yeah. And then at the end of it, you look at it and you go, why is that thing all messed up? It looks wrong. It's like damaged and stuff, and things aren't connecting to it properly. Yeah, maybe you put it in wrong because you were using the wrong implement to get it in there. Now, granted, just as a side thing, every tool is a hammer. You can absolutely use the back of a screwdriver as a hammer for a second. Should you? It depends. Sometimes you just got to give something a little tap tap and you're good. Sometimes you got to hit it with a freaking hammer. So I'm learning that difference in programming. And I'm learning to stop, walk away, grab the right tool, come back, and hit it. Get it done that way. Now, that means I have to learn what the right tool is. So I had to start asking myself questions. When I get stuck, completely and totally stuck, I stop, I figure out what my question is, I write it down, and then I research it. That is the most actionable piece of advice I can give to people who are like me and do this thing where they just start slamming their head against a wall and going, why isn't this function working? Why isn't this function working? This function should be working. And there's no, like, there may not be a bug involved, and you're like, I don't think there's a bug, whatever. I just guessed at a function, and that function's not meant to do that. One of the most fundamental misunderstandings I had about Godot recently that I just realized is there's a character body controller. Okay, I'm getting a little technical here. I'm going to try to make it digestible because long term I would like to make educational resources for Godot, and I'm going to get a little practice in right now. So please try and bear with me, and if it doesn't make sense, hop in. Tell me it doesn't make sense. Help me learn from you. If that's something you're willing to do, that's kind of a lot to ask of you. But we've got a community. Pop in, ask questions. I'll see if I know answers and if I can explain things in a understandable way. Anyway, please forgive the tangents. there is a controller for characters called Character Body 2D. This is essentially pre-made to make it really easy to make a character move around in the game. It's good for a platformer. It's good for whatever, right? But you can imagine your little platformer character. Let's say you've got your little Mario guy. He's jumping around. There's collisions under him. He's landing on things, and he's not falling through. That's your collisions. And he can jump, and he can move, and he can slide a little bit. There you go. The jumping and the moving and the sliding and the speed and the gravity and all of that stuff is built into the Character Body 2D node, it's called. It's built into this little game object. So you can just do that, put a sprite on it, move it around, and for the most part, it's kind of plug and play. It's like one of the easiest character controller things you'll ever have. You just go, boom, done, move it around. Great. I learned that I was completely misunderstanding one of the functions in this controller. There is a function that was being used in the default code called, I think it was move towards. And I thought, let me get the actual name of this so I'm not spreading disinformation. Godot is going to load up in the background as I am saying this to you. I thought that move towards was moving the character towards a point. That's not what it was doing. Move toward. So I should have known this, but there's a function called move and collide and a function called move and slide, and both of those move your character based on your speed and your direction and so on, right? And then this function that I saw called move toward, I just saw it and I saw the name and I assumed, oh, okay, this moves me towards a point, and they're putting this function here, and it's kind of like a brake system for the character, so it'll move a whole bunch, and then there's a thing called move towards that slows you down and stops you. It's like hitting the brakes. It's going, okay, you're not going to stop on a dime. You're going to slow down and stop. And I went, oh, okay, move toward slows you down and stops. And I assumed that it was giving a point that the character would move towards and then stop at, because I just saw the name move toward. That's not what it does. It's not what it does at all. It takes 3 values. It takes a from, to, and a delta. So it takes one number, another number, and then a number that tells you how much. And it takes you from the first number, the from, to the second number by whatever amount. So you're moving from 5 to 10 by 4. So then that gives you 9. You're moving from 10 to 5 by 4. That gives you 6. It's basically giving you subtraction, right? It's like, okay, you're moving from this to this by this much. Get rid of that much, add that much, whatever. Move towards this number from this number. I thought it was doing something way more complicated than that. So I was like, what the heck how is that even working? I was confused. I didn't understand it. It turns out it's just doing a really simple thing, and then it's doing it over and over and over and over and over. So they had this function, and I'm almost done with Technobabble. I promise. I'll give you a little treat at the end. I'll give you a little story about. Yeah, here we go. Once I finish the Technobabble, I'm gonna give you a little story about my life today. That's gonna make you chuckle. All right, maybe it won't. So they had this function, and it said move toward. And the first number was velocity, the second number was 0, and the final number was speed. So the first number was how fast you're currently going. The second number was we don't want any velocity at all. So we're moving our velocity value to 0 by the amount that we normally accelerated by, right? Well, accelerate is probably the wrong word, but let's roll with it. So you're going from, let's say, 600 to 0 by increments of whatever your speed is. It's just decelerating. It's just hitting the brakes. So you're setting your velocity equal to this thing that's moving your velocity towards 0. And I was so confused by the existence of this function. I was looking at it and I was like, what magic, weird nonsense is this doing? I don't understand what these values going into the function are. Whatever, I'm just going to keep going because I'm not actually working on that right now. But I would see it and I would feel this little bit of confusion in the back of my head. I would go, oh, whatever, and I would move on. I go, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, go back to this. Whatever, skip that. It's not important. And then one day I just clicked on the documentation for it and I read it and I went, oh my God. Okay, now I just need to move that function here, reassign it to this, and then, okay, now this is good for what I wanted. Right? Like, it's so easy to just make tiny little assumptions. Tiny little itty-bitty assumptions and not notice that you're doing it. And those little assumptions cause so much trouble. Thank you for sticking with me through the technical talk. Here's a story about my life. Now that I'm a construction worker, I went and got a pedicure with one of my fellow construction workers. It took becoming a construction worker for me to go out and take care of my feet. And how weird is it that I've entered the most traditionally masculine environment probably in America, right? Like, working in construction is so like macho masculine, traditionally speaking. And then one of my coworkers was like, hey man, we got to take care of our feet because this concrete destroys our feet. Let's go get pedicures. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. That makes perfect sense. There you go. There's your little story. Thank you for sticking through the tech talk with me. Let's wrap up this episode, huh? Here's my question for you this week. You know what? You're getting two. Question number 1. What little assumptions are you making in your code? Now, this is not an easy question to answer off the top of your head. You need to attend to this question while you are coding. You need to just notice that little thing in your head that goes, it's probably fine. The number of times that I've heard somebody go, it's probably fine, and then absolutely fall flat on their face an hour later because it was not fine is crazy. Not just in coding. I mean, I don't see people's code much. I don't see all that. But just in day-to-day life, people go, it's probably fine, and then, it's not fine. In programming, that's a big problem. That can be a huge problem. Now, sometimes it's fine. But how big is that feeling? How big of a it's probably fine is it? Is it the kind of it's probably fine where you actually assessed it? Or is it the kind of it's probably fine where you went, I don't want to deal with it? Because the second one usually is more dangerous. If you've actually assessed it and gone, yeah, it's probably fine. Cool, whatever, it's fine. But boy, if you're just going, I don't know, so it's probably fine, you might be in trouble. You're just waving your hand at it. And my second question is, are you in a rush? And if you are, do you like being in a rush? Would you like to slow down? Or is now the time to rush? Sometimes it's the time to rush. But I feel like that's been a valuable question for me, so I want to share it with you. So those are your two questions. Are you in a rush? I am, and I'm trying to slow down. And what little assumptions are you taking, if any, in your code? Where are you going, whatever. That's probably fine. And not actually thinking through it. Not actually assessing it. That is everything that I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me for this slightly extra long episode. I'm looking at like 35 right now. That's pretty good. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, get out there, make some stuff, and have fun with it. Bye-bye.